starting off the bulletin with some breaking news that's coming in. Now, the DGCA has issued an advisory to all airlines on unruly behavior by passengers during flight operations. Head of operations of all airlines are hereby advised to sensitize their pilots, cabin crew and post holders on handling of unruly passengers through appropriate means, including but not limited to training programs for ensuring effective monitoring, maintenance of good order and discipline on board the aircraft. Safety of aircraft operations is not jeopardized in any manner. So this is what the advisory by the DGCA on unruly passengers says. CNN News 18's Anshul is joining us to tell us more about it. Anshul, can you tell us more about the advisory that has now been issued by DGCA with regard to unruly behavior by passengers on the flight?
So yes, the DGCA in that notification has clearly mentioned that issuing this notification had become the need of the hour, because over the last few months we have seen that many such cases have come to the fore where passengers have been seen performing some sort of unruly behavior on board, which actually jeopardizes the security and safety of other passengers in that flight. Yesterday itself, we saw the manner in which a passenger actually went ahead and had a brawl with two of the air staff. This was a flight that was bound to London, and the flight had to return mid-air because the situation got so bad and out of hand, which actually jeopardized the security of that entire plane and approximately more than 200 people who were flying over there. So now the DGCA has come out with a clear set of guidelines as to how does the crew and the pilot perform when some passengers gets out of control and gets out of hand. And in that notification has clearly been mentioned that apart from the training that has been given to the cabin crew and to the pilots to control the situation, there are a few other steps that the pilot and the cabin crew can take if they deem it necessary. So yes, a few more powers have been given to the cabin crew and to the pilot to make sure that the entire flight remains absolutely in control and the safety of the passengers is not jeopardized in any way or any manner.
Anshul, also, what are the current rules regarding unruly behavior by passengers on flight?
So yes, it is up to the prerogative of the pilot and the cabin crew to decide in what category does that unruly behavior fall in. So there are several categories that has been mentioned by the DGCA in this notification as well, and in the previous notifications as well. So the manner in which we saw the incident that happened yesterday, that falls under a very severe category, and hence the punishment that could be given to that person can actually initially be filed in a report by the pilot and the cabin crew. Post that, a decision could be taken on that. Now, since the severity of this entire incident was so much, the pilot and the cabin crew could actually request the airlines to ban that flyer and put him in a no-fly zone. So all these categories have very clearly been defined. Now with this new notification coming in, the categories have been furthermore more clearly defined, and it is up to the prerogative of the cabin crew and the pilot to make sure as to what sort of offence they feel has happened on board that flight, and they could actually go ahead and file that report in that manner, and hence could ask the airlines to take a stringence of action that is deemed necessary or that is mentioned in the rule book to be taken against the passengers.
Also, Anshul, how is a passenger categorized as an unruly passenger?
So yes, this is completely to the prerogative of the cabin crew and the pilot, because remember, it is the duty of the pilot to make sure that the passengers or the cargo that he is taking is transported safely. So it is up to the prerogative of the pilot that how severely he sees the incident that has happened on board and what sort of action could be taken against that passenger according to the rule book that has been made by the DGCA. So yes, it is not that there is some clearly defined guidelines as to if some sort of action happens, then this is the punishment that could be given. But yes, it is definitely the prerogative of the pilot and the cabin crew to decide as to how severe was that entire incident and how much of the security of the entire plane was jeopardized. So yes, that is something that has to be decided by the cabin crew and the pilot who is present over there, because it is their responsibility to make sure that the cargo or the passengers traveling in their flight is transported safely.
Also, Anshul, can you once again tell us about the advisory that has now been issued by the DGCA, keeping in mind the increase in cases of unruly behavior by passengers?
So yes, this advisory that came in late last night actually clearly states that it was the need of the hour to for the DGCA to actually come out with a clear set of guidelines so that more clarity could be given to the pilots and the cabin crew as to how they could respond when something unruly happens. Because we have seen over the last 6 to 8 months, many such cases have come to the fore where passengers were actually seen smoking on the flight. Some passengers were actually seen creating ruckus when they were in an inebriated state. Others, we saw other cases of peeing on the plane as well. So all these cases that have come to the fore actually jeopardize the security of the people who are traveling in that flight, and hence it became very necessary for the DGCA to actually clarify it to the cabin crew and to the pilot and to the airlines as well as to what action could they take and what is the SOP, what is the standard operating procedure that they could undertake to make sure that if a situation is getting out of hand, and how they could actually go ahead and get that situation back in control. Although there is training that is given to the cabin crew and to the pilots to control such situations, but over the last few months, since the situation has flared up so much, there have been so many cases where we have seen that the manner in which the passengers have been performing in an unruly manner, which is jeopardizing the security of that flight, and hence it became very necessary for the DGCA to actually come out with an even more clearer set of guidelines, informing the cabin crew that they could actually also do anything that they find it necessary apart from the training that has been given to them. So yes, it is a very strongly worded. Strongly worded notification that has come to the fore. But yes, in that notification, it has also clearly been mentioned that it has become the need of the hour, and it is really very important for the pilot and the cabin crew to make sure that the passengers or the cargo in that flight are transported in the highest order of safety. So yes, that is the reason why we have seen that the DGC has now come up with this two-page notification in which they have very clearly stated that the pilot and the cabin crew can
All
also
right.
perform duties out of their training and go ahead and make sure that the
Right,
flight is
Anshul.
in
Thank
safety.
you for giving us all those details.